Did you guys like this event? The goal, I kind of went through the beginning of the, and then in our another member event that is normally named the Client Appreciation Event, which it still is, but we're gonna call it something like Client Inner Circle Masterclass. That is September 25th, 26th. We go to Nashville. Ed Clay, raise your hand, man. Ed Clay, a client, platinum member, one of my best friends in the world, runs, we just make sure he has a microphone, runs a couple things really cool. Him and Scotty, raise your hand real quick. Scotty's right there. They run a hospital down in Mexico. Why don't you just tell everybody like 1 minute, like what you do down in Mexico, and then bring it back to like what you do in Nashville.
Yeah, so Scott and I and...
Can you stand up, Ed? Sorry
sure.
to put you on the spot. But.
Yeah, so my name's Ed Clay. Scott and I run a hospital in Mexico called CHIPSA Hospital. It's an integrative cancer hospital. We have 2 trials starting with the FDA this year, phase 1. We got a drug approved last year in Mexico, commercialized last year in Mexico. We're on the cutting edge of integrative cancer treatments. We have scientists from all over the world. We have 2 NIH scientists joining our scientific advisory board. We have a new MD Anderson doctor joining our scientific advisory board. Have over 20 medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, etc. So our goal is to cure cancer, plain and simple, and do whatever it takes to do that. We try to take as natural of an approach as possible, but we're not closed off to conventional approaches either. We find the problem is people build giant walls in between the conventional and alternative side. Nobody gets along. And that's stupid when our goal is to cure cancer. So that's our goal, and that's what we're doing. And I would argue that we have as good of treatments as anyone in the world right now. We have reversed many stage 4 cancers, and we have them documented, and we're running trials constantly. So.
One of our events down in Nashville every year. It's kind of become a tradition thing. It's who went last year? Just out of curiosity, just show of hands. Awesome. Yeah, you know the quality of people, as you can tell, are pretty high. What I love about Nashville though is Ed also owns. Did you tell him about your wedding venue?
Yeah. So my home in Nashville is called East Ivy Mansion. It's one of the most historic homes in Tennessee. It's pretty much downtown Nashville. And one of the things that we do in Mexico is fly out 2 musicians from Nashville every week to play music for our patients. Music is healing too, and personal connection. Patients feel special when someone flies all the way from Nashville to just play music for them. We have a home in Mexico that they stay at on the beach. And a lot of my friends are musicians. One of my favorite things in the world is to sit on the back of a tour bus or at East Ivy and have just play music. Like around a fire, around the pool. And so the idea was, wouldn't it be great if, Ed's freedom question, wouldn't it be great if we could have the musicians come to Mexico and play for the patients and create that connection? And then John Satterfield took that idea and really ran with it and founded Hope Song. So April 24th, we have the annual Black Tie event at East Ivy Mansion. Last year we had Lee Brice, Jared Neiman, American Young play. This year we have a number of artists, Paul McDonald, Dave Bournet. There's a few more. I can't think of who else on the list this year, but it's going to be a great event. And we have tables for sale. They start at $3,000.
Did you mention Lee? Is he coming again next year?
Lee is going to be in Australia. I'm upset he's going to Australia instead of our event in Nashville. But there'll be a lot of celebrities there. If you're into the music scene in Nashville, it's a fun event. And got a red carpet, dress as fancy as you can and have a good time. Make sure you do a liver detox before and after though, because it's all you can drink, and we drink a lot in Nashville.
If you love country music, like there's some people who like country music, but if you love country music, like you listen to country music, you're like, that is an event that's a true experience. My wife and I go every year, and we usually buy a table, which I'm sure I'm gonna buy another one. And then what I was thinking was we should get a bunch of members to each chip in, buy a table, and Ed'll like pair you up with members or like members. That's you don't call artists members, but artists and stuff. It's pretty cool like that. So, all right, let's give it Fred Clay. Another member that's doing some pretty cool stuff, members, is definitely Romza and Lola in the back there, what they're doing down in, why don't you give them a microphone, down in Costa Rica, and you got Mike and Dimitri back there as well, Rome's back there. Why don't you tell everybody like what you're doing down in Hero Academy and the kind of the stuff you got going on, just so people know what you're doing and can support you if they want. Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you. It's a little like staticky.
I'm static? Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. We have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy that is a nonprofit, and we cater to kids that are very impoverished. Mostly our whole group of kids are girls that have been molested or raped, and most of them are under 12 years old. And we teach them Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We feed them organic food. They learn English because I don't speak much Spanish. And we just took them to the Costa Rican Nationals, and they took third place as a team. And it's not too bad as a first-year academy. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're actually in the process of building a new academy so we can house more kids in the program. We have like 80-something kids now in the program. So our goal is to have 1,000 kids, and then as they get older, teach them like entrepreneurial skills, teach them how to eat properly, just give them an actual chance at life, because these kids live in fucking shacks. They have to go take a shit in an outhouse, and there might be a snake in there or a scorpion that'll bite their ass. And yeah, we recently had a hurricane a few months ago. It was one of the first hurricanes that hit Costa Rica in a while. And Lola raised like 60 grand, and we were housing people in our house and the academy. So, yeah, I mean, our goal is to just create new future leaders in the world, and we decided to stop there because it was a lot warmer than New York. So, yeah, I mean, if any of you guys are visiting Costa Rica, we'd love to have you guys come by, check it out, say hi to the kids, maybe teach them something. Yeah, that's that.
Come on up. And what you don't know is like Lola's a complete badass. So she's just smiling right now, but she mentoring some of the women down there, correct? Lola, correct me if I'm wrong. And Rome, were you in Europe when where were you when she was in Thailand training when did you say hurricane? Am I saying this stuff right? And the Facebook videos of Lola were awesome, going like shack to shack, helping women, doing amazing things. So kudos there. All right, see you guys. Appreciate you. All right, what's up, Jess?
What's up, man?
How you doing, bud? So this is the closing. Do you need a water, man?
No.
I do. 2 full days. I guess we got like 15 minutes together, okay? We can wrap it up anyway. Do you have anything specifically you want to share?
Well, first of all, I just promised everyone I would bring a copy of my book, and I went and I had like 15 copies, so I didn't want to. So if anybody wants a copy or haven't gotten a copy of Living with a Seal, just email me your address, and I'll gladly send it out. And it's same with Living with the Monks. Jesse@livingwiththeseal.com, and just put books, and I'll send it out to you. Just give me your address, and I'll send it out for free. The Monk book isn't even printed yet, so that'll be a couple of weeks, but the Seal book is, so I apologize for that. JESSE@livingwiththeseal.com, and I'll send those out in separate shipments. No, I just, like, it was, I'm proud of you, Ed,
Thanks, dude.
putting all these people together. And I just, I know that a lot of these conferences, the opportunity lies in the people that you meet, even more than like, the bullet points and that kind of stuff. So make sure if you guys have questions, you reach out to people that were here that can advance whatever it is you're doing. And in life, you really just, a lot of times when you start out in business, you ask people and you seek validation. And you seek validation during times where like your ideas are most vulnerable. And a lot of times that can either lead to people telling you something you already know or talking you out of it. If it's such a great idea, how come none of the big guys have done it yet? Blah, 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 blah. You want to ask people and seek people out that can really help you move the needle. So there are people in this room that can do that. So if you need a media buyer, there's about 20 of them here. If you need a creative person, there's 5 of them here. So take advantage of that. I think everyone seems very willing to work and help each other. So that would be my 2 cents.
All right, I'm gonna ask a specific, I'm gonna go to a business question. Your talk last night was phenomenal, by the way. It was so awesome. I've had everyone came up to me in different times, it was great. I think thinking about like death and thinking about these things, like I left there, I was like, you know what? I don't really give a rat's behind about my legacy. What I do give a rat's behind on is that everything I'm working on and the person I'm trying to become, osmosisly, like the worst thing in my life would be if my kids did not get the characters we're trying to build through osmosis and teaching and training. And I was thinking about this, I was like, you know, what's more important to me than like, you know, when they ask that question, what legacy do you want to leave? I'm like, what's more important to me is my kids look at them the same way my kids look at me. That would be a cool legacy. Like, I don't want any credit, I want you to keep going with that. All right, but I have a question. All right. So when you, like, I think one of the big things that a lot of us, and I'm including all of us together, and so maybe I'm limiting some of you, maybe I'm expanding some of you, is when you went from, I've asked you a couple of these questions before, but like you went, from a relationship perspective and a mind expansion perspective, when you went from, you sold your one licensing company, but then every play you did after that, at least you shot for, was big, right? Like Marquis Jets was big. Zico, you didn't think small, you went out and thought really big. No Foods, we're thinking really big. And then I know you said there's been a couple with eggs on their face, but your thought process was big. And then it was a great story yesterday with like Sarah saying, Jesse, you know, whatever, you gotta think bigger, blah, blah, blah. What encouragement or thought, like, what would you share with the group that either A, has shifted your thoughts, or being on the other side of, you remember I asked you, I said, you know, like, I think it was in your kitchen when I said, when was the moment you knew that, like, you freaking hit it from a money perspective? And I think it was with Marquis Jets.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, I started out, I wanted very simple, modest goals. I want to have a swimming pool. I wanted to grow my own food. I wanted to go on a vacation. And then once you get that, you want more. I mean, at least
Human
at
nature.
that age,
Yeah,
human
zero
nature is
question.
like, wow, now I can get a watch and other shit, you know, like, whoa. I just remember when we sold our first company, it was called Alphabet City. And we sold it for $4 million, $6 million, and then a stock component to it and an earn out. And I was 27 or something, 26 or 27. And I was making $37,000 a year before that. And I remember putting all the money into the bank and going the next morning and looking at, I printed out the statement. Someone told me, like, print out the statement, like, keep it forever. And I was like, yes. So I printed out an ATM machine, and then I woke up the next morning and I went to the ATM machine, and I had like $300, $400, or $500 something in interest. And I was like, I just made $500 sleeping.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I couldn't believe that I had
Yeah.
got, like,
Wow.
that works like that, you know? I was like, that's more than I made, you know,
A whole week
a
before.
week before
Yeah,
that.
totally.
So,
Of working really, really
that
hard.
was the first, like, wow moment.
Yeah.
And then I lost all that money, you know, stupid stuff.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I lost all that money pretty quickly. And then, then I was like, oh shit, man, I need another swimming pool. Out of water in this swimming pool, I can't use it anymore. Because no one teaches you what to do with a lot of money when you get money.
Right.
And that was, I felt like I was a bazillionaire.
That's such a good, thanks
So,
for
you
sharing.
know, I lent people money, I gambled, I did stupid shit, I invested, I just did everything wrong. And, but to answer your question about thinking big, you know, it just like, it starts with little steps of momentum. And I always tell people, you know, like every day when you wake up, try to do something that's a win. Like create a win early on in the morning. So, and ride that momentum. For me, that's working out. I get a run in and I'm like, even if the day is a terrible day, I already got a run in. I did something for myself. There's a win. So business for me is the same thing. It's like once you get to a landmark, like $1 million in sales, that's a big landmark, and then 10 million is a big landmark, and then 15, 20, then
Right,
100, and then
right.
$1 billion or whatever. It's just momentum. And so, you know, once I had some momentum, I'm like, wow, if I can do this, I can do that. But yeah.
And what was your first year of sales in Marquee? Do you know?
First year in sales at Marquee, I think we did like 150 million or something.
Yeah. So that was a new number for you.
Yeah.
Mentally, does that mean?
Well, we were selling something that was $250,000 on average. So our formula, I love businesses that require a small amount of customers that pay a lot of money. So like at Zico, at Marquee Jet, we realized if we could get 4,000 people that paid $250,000, that would be $1 billion a year top line business. And we're like, okay, let's just find the 4,000 people. Let's hire enough people to get the 4,000 people, and we'll be $1 billion. And that's what we did. We just loaded up on sales reps, and we got the 4,000. At Zico, we just sell like 50,000, you know, of these bottles a week. Every week, and if 30,000 customers dropped off, we had to get more. So businesses with small amounts of people that pay a lot of money, it's a great model. So that was just the big difference between those two.
Awesome. We have a few minutes. Does anyone have a question for Jesse? All right, Rome's got one.
No.
You can yell.
You, Rome? Yeah. We can hear you in Tennessee.
You said you used to pull information from people when you used to be on the ride on the plane. And one of the things that you mentioned was like, what do I do when I actually have the money? So can you elaborate on that? Like some of the answers that you compiled and what you actually did that was right when you made the money.
I did everything wrong. Because when I first made the money, I was 27 and I had no mentors. My dad owned the plumbing supply house. He didn't, you know, there was no one to really ask what to do around in my world. I didn't have a lot of super rich friends. There are different thresholds when you know, I don't really like talking about money, but when you get to $1 million, the difference between $1 million and $3 million is a big jump. The difference between $3 million of net worth and $5 million in net worth is not a big jump. The difference between $3 million and $10 million is a big jump. But the next big jump is really 10 to 25. And then once you have 25 million, it's just like, okay, well then what do you want? You want a yacht? You want to buy a sports team? Like, what the fuck, you know? So it's all levels. And when you make the first $1 to $3 million, it's preservation. It's like you got, you know, you're still the underdog, you still got to be hungry. Again, it's individual. But what I learned is I lost a lot of that hunger at first, you know? I thought like, oh, I got my swimming pool, man, I'm done. So it's all different levels. So I just asked someone who's uber wealthy, what do you do with your money? And the guy told me he keeps, you know, X amount of money in gold buried in his lawn, and he's got a supply of water. I mean, everyone's got a different system. And, you know, my wife has, I would say, I don't think she owns a stock. And everyone would be like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. What do you mean you don't own a stock? Like the stock market's going up or whatever. And she's like, because I have my money in my company and I have cash in my company and my real estate. And she doesn't want to worry about fluctuations and, you know, yes, maybe she's costing her some money. So everyone has a different threshold. But I think it depends on what level you're in the climb, if that makes sense. But here's a couple of things that I would say, like when you do acquire a lot of wealth and like, you know, it's about, your life becomes about convenience and not waiting on lines and being living as conveniently as you can and having access to great medical care. Stuff like that becomes way more important, you know, than cars and other shit. You start to think about it a different way. And it gets complicated, man. Part of it's not fun. It gets complicated. And, you know, I think for Sarah and I, we just try to keep it as because neither of us are like super savvy investors. We just try to keep it as simple as we can and not let it affect our moods and swings and stuff because, man, it's, you know, people ask you for money all the time. How do you say no? When someone asks you, for anyone in this room, for $500, they know everybody in here can give them $500. No, but that's a tough thing because it's easier to ask for 50,000, but like when you get the 500s, it's like, and if you say no, then you're an asshole. You can't give me $500, Rome, man, I'm in trouble. Well, I'm working all day. Why would I give you $500, man? I just worked hard for my $500. But then now you're, they put you in a no-win situation.
lose-lose, yeah, situation.
Those are very hard situations that everyone in here probably will deal with as you get more successful. And it's just, it becomes issues that you just didn't have, a different kind of issue. And you can't say yes to all the $10,000 requests, because then you're an enabler. And if you say no, you're an asshole. It's complicated. So what I do is everyone's gonna ask me for money.
Yeah.
Usually I give what I say that I'm willing to give, and it's a gift. Because if I say, oh man, I gave you $500, I need it back. They're like, no you don't. And if they pay me back, they're like, why is he even asking me for the money back? They feel, it just changes the relationship, man. I can't explain it. But I think you know what I mean.
But yeah, that's relevant at even the most micro levels. Like the brother who's like, well, hey, I need this for X, Y, Z, and it's not a lot.
It just causes
Yeah.
resentment and
What do you, oh, Kano, go ahead.
Has anybody here been asked has anyone asked people in this room to borrow money from them?
Have we asked
Has
other
anyone
people?
said to you, can I borrow some money?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that suck or what? I mean, it sucks. And, multiply that shit by every day.
So, but a quick question. Besides your, right here, right? Besides, typically, we'll say kids, so you can't say your kids. What are you daily working for that gives you that chill or rush? So, when I'm a coach for a living and I live for a handshake or a thank you more important than any other, monetary thing. What currently do you work for that you're like, fuck yeah?
Yeah. I love newness. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So for me, for my personal thing, I love challenges. I'm always looking for something new and circling something on my calendar, like I want to go climb Mount Denali in Alat, like something like that. And then the other side of it is I really like people. I love to help people. I'm here because of my relationship with Ed to meet people. So that's kind of what makes me.
You run your coaching club.
Yeah, I have a coaching
to
program
help people and
for
engage
people,
with
and
people.
it's super low cost.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks. And but I do it with an asterisk. Like if you don't like it, money back. Everything is like I don't want to have any aggravation. My whole thing is, I might have mentioned this to you guys yesterday, but my life now is what everybody strives for. Low aggravation and high reward. Whatever gives me high reward. If I get some high reward out of here, this is not aggravating for me. I live close to here. But if something is high reward and high aggravation, I don't want to do it. So that's sort of where I'm at. Yeah, but it's newness, challenges, that's the stuff that makes me feel most alive. And people saying, you know what? A lot of people yesterday, man, that resonated with me. I got kids, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, Nick.
Did you get a hold of Warren Buffett?
Oh my God, so funny. I just checked my junk
Wait,
mail.
did what?
Did you get a hold of Warren Buffett in your 24-hour period?
I emailed him, and I'm waiting for a response, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get it. I mean, the clock is ticking. I keep looking at my junk mail because I don't know if, my computer might think Warren Buffett's a joke.
What did I miss yesterday? Did you say
If
something
I go right to
yesterday?
my junk mail, fucking, there's no way Warren Buffett's emailing this guy. I've had this, we've been partners for 8 years, man. Warren Buffett's never emailed you. My phone's saying to itself, I'll get him. He'll be on the back of that book. I might just put him on and then take the pressure of getting the approval. I've done a million times in my life. Oh yeah, I got permission. Yeah, print it. And then show up in Nebraska, in Omaha next week. Like this. Warren. They made a mistake on the book.
Cool. Well, this has been really, it's always an honor to, one of my favorite people in the world right here. And there's so many of my favorite people out here. So it's like, for me, it's a really
It's great.
amazing thing.
You guys have any other questions or anything else that you know, yeah.
Sam,
Where
Samantha.
do we go to find your coaching to sign up for that?
Oh, it's a great question. So I did like a mini course. It was a 4-month program, and I'm gonna do it again. So you can just email me at Jesse at Living with the Seal, and I check them all out. It's not like a sophisticated. I mean, after sitting in here yesterday, I got to revamp the way I'm doing it because you know, me holding up a sign saying, "Hey, anyone who wants to do," it's not working that well. No, it's a great program, but we're gonna start it up again in another 60 days. So, love to have you. It's cool. Maybe Ed will send out an email.
Yeah, I'll send out an email, happily do. I took the course, enrolled, and it was great. It still is great. His one call, it's phenomenal about all the lessons he taught the salespeople or the influence of over the years. It's really good. It's got a lot of core belief systems that are just unique, I think, that are really awesome to listen to.
I'll give you one tidbit.
Yeah, let's go for it. Go
But
crazy.
like one of the things that Ed was talking about was like, you know, one thing when we started Marquee Jet, we had no budget, you know, and like one thing that we did, so I have like this 15-step thing to like growing your influence in your business without spending any money, which like everybody wants to do. And one of the things of the 15 that we did was I always had a hometown restaurant. So I always like went to the owner or the maitre d' of a restaurant, got really friendly, and whenever I needed a table, or I had guests or customers or prospects or partners, we would walk into the restaurant like we owned it. And that shit works. Like, you know, you walk in and it's crowded and you go to the front like, "Oh, Mr. O'Keefe, oh," and you're high-fiving everyone, you sit down, or your guests do the same thing. In New York City, like that's impressive. And it costs nothing. I'm gonna be a great customer, I'm a big tipper, and that was like a big deal. So there's like little things like that that really, you know, don't cost anything, but you don't think about it. You know, how many times have people come in and be like, I have my own driver that worked, not my own driver, but, you know, pick people up, and I would give them all the information on who was in the car. "Hey, oh, you know, I heard you at 70. And that made a big difference, because it's all relationships. So, things like that.
Yeah, and you invested in things that you weren't ready to invest in order to create experiences for your clients. I'm not sure the New York Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, I know you guys have to catch flights, so I don't want to.
Well, okay. But you don't want to hear that story, do you?
You want to
Yeah.
hear? Yeah.
Let me
No,
tell
I
us
mean,
a
I
little
was
story.
saying- when I
If
was-
you gotta leave, you just gotta leave.
No,
so
I was
it's
gotta
okay.
go. I was 26 years old or something. Again, I'm making $37,000, and I did a theme song for the Yankees, and I was pitching it to the marketing director of the Yankees. And after the meeting, when we're walking out, I said to my partner, I was like, "Hey, you know, this is a crazy thing. This never happens, but we have 4 front row seats that just came open next to the Adidas. Adidas was the biggest sponsor of Yankee Stadium. We have the 4 seats next to Adidas that just opened up. He told me that we built out 16 seats onto the infield. They're not even part of the stadium. They built them for the World Series for Major League Baseball. And they sold them to the top sponsors. They're like the craziest seats. And 4 people dropped out. He goes, "Would you guys have any interest?" And I'm like, "How much are the tickets?" And they were like 1,000, so there were 4,000 a game, and there's 80 home games. So what is that? That's,
320,000.
yeah, is that for 4 tickets?
320,000, right?
Yeah, 4 tickets, $1,000, $320,000. I'm making $37,000. So my partner's like, you know, we'll be out of business if we take those tickets. You know, like we can't even. No, and he's like, "Listen, this will change your business. You're gonna bring customers here, man. There's a million restaurants to go to, but there's only 1 seat like this in Yankee Stadium. You'll have them with your kids when you have kids. Think about it." So we go back, and I said to my partner, you know, "What do you think?" He's like, "You're out of your fucking mind. What do I think?" He's like, "I think we should start selling records before we talk about buying front row seats." I go, "You're right." So he left for the meeting, and I called the guy up, and I'm like, "We'll take him," you know. So we took him, and it was the best investment we made. We sold our company, this music company, to guys that ended up sharing the tickets with us. I think they bought them because they wanted the seats. And it was a great investment. Now, I'm not saying go put stuff on your credit card and go into debt just to buy tickets to entertain someone. But when you have an opportunity to buy prime real estate or something, you got to look at it and say, okay, you know, over the long run, can we figure this out and make this work? Will this be a tool that we can use? And for us, it was.
Yeah, love it.
And Yeah. I always say to the guys at the Hawks, I'm like, man, you know, our job is to make people, they ended up being the best thing ever. I took, you know, Sarah there, I've taken my family there, I've entertained, I have great memories. And I'm like, if we can create the same experiences that I had with the
Yeah.
Hawks there, I mean, it would be unbelievable. So that was that story.
That's awesome.
I had those seats for 10 years. Anybody know what 10 times $385,000 is? $3.85 million in tickets. So that guy made a good call saying it, take the tickets that day.
Yeah.
Good return for him too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Last one, Ed Clay.
Yeah, so you mentioned that Sarah grew her company by herself without taking on partners. How do you scale a company that big? Did you take out debt? Like, what was the way? Like, how did you?
Because she
handle that?
never took a business class in her life. She said to herself, I have to make money right away or I'm out of business. So that's the reason why she never advertised. You know, she sold 7 stores and she was able to get credit and extend it out and she just never got ahead of herself. And even today, she never charges anything she can't pay. I mean, it's the same kind of mentality. She's still bootstrapping her life in a weird way. But yeah, that's how she scaled it. She scaled it saying like, I have to be profitable. And she made a couple of $1 million her first year or two and just scaled it. But Sarah's got amazing instincts and she has a great feel. I think her superpower for knowing what the customer wants, being able to create that, but storytelling around it. She's really good at storytelling to make the customers be like, whoa, that is a problem. You did solve it. I do want that, and feel great about it. And part of it is because she really cares about it. She's the customer. But I remember, you know, she was telling me this story. I won't get it 100% right, but this kind of sums up her journey. She went into leggings. She got out of traditional shapewear and got into leggings basically like a year or two ago. And when they made the first prototypes, they were bringing them in, and Sarah loved them, and she said, you know, how many are we making to the production team? And they said, well, we're going to make 3,000 to start, make sure that the retailers support it, the customers want it, and they want to reorder it. Sarah's like, we're making 3,000 of these? And everyone's, yeah, they're like super expensive to make. It's unproven. This is a new territory for her. And she said, make $1 million.
No way.
And they're like, $1 million? Sarah, they cost like $40, whatever they cost. You know, it's like $50 million. Like, we can't do that. We could get stuck with the inventory. That could literally greatly impact, you know? And she looked at everyone, she's like, I'll sell them.
Wow.
And then she's like, you know, get QVC on the line, you know?
Yeah.
And she went on
Yeah,
QVC.
she kicked ass on
Yeah, she
QVC,
went on
by the way.
QVC, and it was like, you know, and because she trusted her product, she knew a customer, and she knew that the lead time to make the product would be too great, you know? But I might not have that 100% right, but that it's pretty close to the spirit of what it is, of what I mean, not even be right, it is right, of how she thinks, you know? And she's been a risk taker, but they're calculated risks based on her instinct and intuition. Yeah. But you know, most people when they start out, like, you know, she started out very slowly. Her philosophy is start small, think big, scale fast. And that's exactly what she did. She started super small, 7 stores. She thought humongous. And then when she had traction, she scaled it big. She scaled it fast, immediately. And that was her model. A lot of people try to scale fast and end out of business, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Try to get
it takes
money.
8 years
to
in this
help
country
out.
to build
Yeah.
a brand.
Yeah.
You start from scratch, it'll take you traditionally 8 years to build a real brand, and you can't cut corners. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. But in general, no bread, which we're part of, we're in year 3. It's not like it happens in 1 year. We are 5 years away from what I think it'll take to build the category and build the brand and have an exit. You know, and you can't cut corners. You can go bring in $100 million, but it takes time. It's one customer at a time, word of mouth. And it all comes down to product. If any of you guys are, and gals, you know, if the product that you're doing, if your service and your product isn't great, you will not be in this room in 5 years. If Rome's Academy isn't great, he's out of business.
Yeah.
The product, it's all about product. It has to be great. And if it's not great and your pitch isn't great, revise it, because it won't work. There's just too many good people out there. It's too competitive. That if it's not, and she, before she launched her product, she spent 2 years working on one item before she launched. It took her 2 years. She was like, she's working on something right now that everyone in our office is like, sad. They've been working on it for 9 months. I've witnessed it. And they had this thing imported from Italy with these experts, and everyone was like, this is amazing. Then this is a new category. This is amazing, Sarah. Let's go. And she's like, send it back.
Wow.
Send it back. It's not where it needs to be. And they started over. And it drives people crazy, but that's the difference. 98%, you know, it wasn't what she was like, no, it's not right. Send it back to Italy all over again. There they go.
I love it. I think that's a great place to stop. Do something amazing. I want to thank you guys very much for being here. It was awesome having you. We're going to be at Whiskey Blue at 6:30. Sarah, do I got that right? Or 6:30? Couple hours, open bar. Matt Martirano, dude looks like Wolverine, is our sponsor. Make sure you say thank you. And real quick, just want to thank all my team. Real quick, we got Sarah, Kate, Duke, Thad, and let's see, I'm not missing anybody. Am I? Mesa left yesterday. We're good. And again, if you want to take